Hi, I'm Bharat Bhardwaj. I'm the country manager of Agilent Technologies based out in Delhi. I think analytical instrument particularly or particular analytical market is going through a lot of change in the regulatory environment. There is a lot more stringent regulatory framework which is expected to deliver certain trusted answers for the organizations, and that's where I see a lot of changes happening in that particular space. So now it is expected to have a certain amount of GLP, GMPs, and the complying with the global market. And as a lot of Indian companies have a dependency on the outside Indian market, uh, this regulation become far more important. So if you look at the highest number of US FDA plants are in India, roughly about 500 plants. You can imagine the level of compliance need to be followed in Indian companies in order to attract that particular market in US. And that's where the whole trend is changing. The market opportunity for analytical market products are huge. It doesn't stop in pharma. Of course, the pharma is the biggest market if I look at it. But if you look at the market like food, environmental, with all the new trend which is emerging in domestic market with the regulatory body becoming more active, I think the need of analytical market is far more important. So I look at it, the pharma, food would be one of the segment. And within the pharma, the new emerging trend is also the biosimilar market, where a lot of the generic manufacturers are also moving towards the biosimilar market. And I think these are the major mega trend if I have to look at it. I think it's immense because if you have to really compete in a global space, you can't do this with a manual process anymore. Plus, with the GLPs and GMP practices, you have to have a lot of strong networks or data integrity processes. So the digitalization come into picture. The more you can reduce a manual, the more you can reduce the process controls, you are able to have much more impact. And this is the trend moving forward. So we look at it, software is actually leading the most of the conversation in any analytical requirements. So Agilent goes back into history. We started in some 90s. In India, we actually started activity in around 1999. We started with a very small numbers. We were about some 10, 15 employees. And today, if I look back, we are about 1,500 employees in Agilent India, with about 500 plus employees focusing on the domestic market, and about 1,000 employees are focusing on global support services, which we provide from our our center in Manesar. So I guess these are the two major investment we have been doing in the last few years. Agilent has evolved as a company within India as well. We are almost every hook and corner of the countries. We have about 10 offices across India, and equally staff service and technical team, which I guess is the backbone of our investment, what we have been doing in India. So from a product side of it, we were having a certain portfolio to offer. But if I look back in the last 3-4 years, we have huge investment been done in our portfolio. Now, from an earlier space, we were really focusing on a gas chromatography business, the liquid chromatography business. Now we are able to offer an end-to-end solution to the customers, right from our sample prep to a technology which is chromatography or mass spectrometry, and then followed by software, which is again where the real work take place. And all of this is backed by a very strong service team. So if I look at it, we are able to now address the laboratory need, which in the past we were addressing in a pockets, and now we are able to address the ecosystem. Very excited about Agilent India. Agilent has a lot of growth plans. India is one of those key focus market for us, and we are having specific programs which we are initiating in order to tap the growth. If I look at an example in the biopharma space, is a very exciting movements happening in that market. So as the food market. So I would look at it that we have a lot of growth plans around it. Just to get the reference right, we added about 110 jobs in the last 1 year, purely towards making sure that we have a complete baseline set, and the base is strong in order to capture the growth for the future. And all of this is backed by a very strong portfolio which we have been coming up from our innovations. And that's where I would say that focusing on the footprint of the product versus coming up with the ease of use for the products, are all those traits which I would say would help us to go further in Indian market as well.